Welcome back. It's March 1st, 2016. I'd like to start by thanking the volunteer crew and Shaw staff that makes this program happen every week. Our guest in this segment is Mazin al-Nahawi, and we're going to be starting a series of reports on the John Nuttall and Amanda Korody case, which was the supposed bombing of the BC legislature in the summer of 2013. And the main man on this series is going to be Mazin. So,
as you know, Jack, thanks, Jack, again for having me on the show. As you know, I am a Palestinian Syrian, and I have already enough on my plate when it comes on what's happening in the Eastern Mediterranean. But I live in this town since 2005, almost 11 years. And when we first heard about this case of John Nuttall and Amanda Korody, I was hoping somebody get to the bottom of this story, because it's not happening anywhere far away from us. It's happening in our own town. And I hope somebody, a journalist or whether a human rights group who defend people on disability, or human rights group who defend people with drug addiction, and even a human rights group who defend women's rights, to jump on the story, because as I'm going to mention later, there is many issue. It's make us really upset to have this issue happening in Victoria. The whole issue started. We start to know about it in Canada Day, July 1st in 2013. And it's about two individuals who are supposed to be influenced by the Al-Qaeda ideology, and they are self-radicalized, as the RCMP said, who planted with a sport bag some pressure cooking bomb on a legislation building. More we know about the story, more we know that these people were in an urgent need for help for other kind of issue. But we find out in the end that there is an operation started in the 23rd of February called Project Souvenir, with 241 RCMP officers working on Amanda and John to end up, after 4 months in July, having them as a Muslim terrorist. Now, in the first, we have the timeline of the story by the Canadian press. And the first, as I said, in February 23rd, we have this picture here for John, where, as you see, he is kind of not looking that good, but this is his first interaction with the RCMP undercover officer. A week after, or so 9...
This picture was from February 2013.
Yes, okay. And here actually the primary agent in the Project Souvenir posed as an Arab businessman. And as the Canadian press say, makes contact with Nuttall. They reportedly lock eyes. They lock their eyes, reportedly. The Canadian press continue to say that 2 days later, the officer approached Nuttall with a request to help him to look for his niece. Nuttall allegedly reveals to him the same day that he wishes to wage holy war on behalf of Islam. Now, the second picture we have, and the second point in the timeline, we have here this picture here, and it's really very hurtful for somebody coming from the region I came in. See this scarf here, we call it Palestinian, we call it kufi. See the clothes, the woman clothing they gave to Amanda. I'm really upset, and I should not be, because we should be objective here, reporting on an issue. But how the use of a symbol for farmers, workers, and even resistant fighters in the Eastern Mediterranean become now a symbol for terrorism. Just to emphasize, my major is a criticism in literature and theater. Messages like that is intended to be sure have something in the mind of Canadian people. So from now on, Whenever you see that scarf or kufiya, it's a symbol of terrorism. And how the woman, and when I mentioned the woman rights issue, look how Amanda Korody is standing back with that cover on her head. To crush that woman, bring her down here in Canada, just to end up in the end having certain agenda or certain goal in the end achieved. This is show you no respect to women's, no respect even for religion in this case, because many of the things they talk about Islam here, it's fabricated, it's not about Islam, but in the end, the end outcome is this is what is Islam. It's terrorist religion. I have no religious background. I mean, I grew up in a Muslim culture. I know very well what is Islam, but myself, I am an atheist, and I say it all that I have no religion. If you replace the word Islam with the word Judaism or Christianity, it becomes so appalling to talk about that. But now it's become so easy to bring Islam and in any issue, and it's just about terrorism. As a linguistic also, the word jihadi, it's really disgusting. Why these journalists translate that word to English and give us why they keep using these Arabic words to keep it very alien to Canadian audience. Jihadi does not mean any sense. It's from jihad, which is a struggle or to do good whether for you or for your people. And as I mentioned before in many shows, I have many friends, their name is Jihad.
So it's a name as well.
It's a name, and it's a name for a man and even for a woman.
Well, there's been a many-year-long campaign in Canada to create an enemy, and the enemy is Muslims. It's been a campaign, and this Korody Nuttall case, I think, is one small part of it. A huge amount of energy went into creating what I think was a fake bombing, masterminded by the RCMP. I mean, that's what I think. So,
and I before just to go far, there is one. I know we always run out of time, so this time I want to read something. It's very important, and I'm glad. I got in touch with some. For example, Professor McQueen from Hamilton, he sent me a very important note, and we heard about it in the news lately when the lawyer of Nuttall questioned about if they have a kind of change of mind, of they want spiritual advice. So Professor McQueen sent me this, I'm going to read it. Each of us may have our moment of special anger as we read the records of this case. Many moments came when I read about Nuttall having an awakening of consciousness in the weeks before the planting of the bombs. He said that, Nuttall. Until a couple of days ago, I did not clue in that people were going to die. I have never killed anybody. I am not a murderer. And at another point, Nuttall says clearly that he needs spiritual guidance or consulting. He said, I want to know in my heart that I did the right things. I need some spiritual guidance. The RCMP more honestly kind of disagree to discourage these signs of awakening of consciousness. He replies, what's this spiritual guidance going to give you? Nuttall says, that is about my soul we are talking about, my wife's soul. The officer responds, all of us, in tones the custom RCMP officer, we have our own destiny. Allah chooses it for us. We don't choose this. Choose
this was an RCMP officer was saying this?
This is what, and the note, this is very important note from Professor McQueen. It seems to me that these passages reveal the essence of entrapment. A citizen shows a clear sign of being ready to back away from a crime, but the police, instead of encouraging his tendency, work to beguile seduce and trap the citizen into the commission of a crime.
And this is before the courts right now.
Yes.
And I mean, you never hear anything about it, but the judge is going to decide if it was entrapment.
Yes, because there is another agency involved here, and that what is not mentioned in the timeline. John Nuttall, in the beginning of 2012, he asked his landlord to have a meeting between him and CSIS to tell them about some concerning things he saw in a mosque.
Right.
So between 2012, the beginning, until February 2013, when CSIS tipped the RCMP about John Nuttall, how come a guy who reportedly wanted to report something to CSIS end up the guy who is wanna do the crime?
And what did he want to report to CSIS?
He saw some suspicious activity inside one of the mosques.
And who was doing the suspicious activity?
The CSIS, they said they were human resources, and we have no idea what is that. This is the beginning of the story. We are starting. We are going to file a freedom of access for a request for information from all the department involved in this case, and we want to find out how much money they spend on these two individuals to be sure in the end that they become a radical Muslim, instead of taking them and taking care of their mental illness, because they are on disability assistant living. They are vulnerable couple. They are used to be addicted to heroin.
It's a terrible thing,
and now
what's happened. And you know, the story is not getting out, but we're going to do our best to put it out.
Get to the bottom of that.
Mazin, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jad.
And thanks for watching this segment of Citizens Forum.